This was Linda Duza Abu, a few moments after she was relieved of her job as prison guard. Her crime? Misconduct and filming sexual activity with an inmate. However, this is just one of those instances where inmates' most intimate and darkest secrets are revealed. From one inmate ruling as a kingpin within the four walls of his cell to a young criminal involved in a sexual relationship with her prison officers. Here are the craziest prison moments ever caught on camera. Lil Jay. Shocking footage from a prison surveillance camera revealed a moment that has shocked many people. A glimpse into the secretive world behind bars. The video shows Chicago rapper King Lil Jay seated in the prison's public cafeteria, isolated from the crowd, as another inmate approached to sit on his lap. Without resistance, they both kissed, one that seemed like a consensual moment that has since gone viral. However, this is not the first time Lil Jay's sexuality has been the subject of speculation. In the past, the rapper has denied ever sharing a cell with a gay inmate, citing his violent tendencies and PTSD as reasons.
Being around people, I got PTSD and all type of mental health shit, so I won't really even get cellies. I was in the cell by myself for more than half of my bid.
But this unsettling footage disapproves of his past denials, raising questions about the actual truth. But how did he find himself in prison in the first place? At a young age, Lil Jay's life has been caught in a world of crime and chaos. His legal troubles began in 2015 when he was charged with reckless firearm discharge and burdened with a $400,000 bail. Soon after, he was convicted of murder conspiracy and sentenced to 12 years in prison, serving 7 before his release. Meanwhile, a brutal domestic violence incident brought him back to prison, a horrifying episode where he broke his girlfriend's jaw and threatened his mother-in-law with a gun. After being arrested, Lil Jay suffered a savage assault by another inmate, leaving him with a broken leg and confined to a wheelchair. Even before these legal horrors, Lil Jay's name was soiled by serious feuds with Chicago's rap OGs, including Lil Durk, Chief Keef, and 600 Breezy. In the end, the identity of the transgender inmate is still a mystery, and Lil Jay's silence only fuels the speculations about his sexuality. Jose Romero, the Spider-Man escape. In 1979, a piece of shocking news was released when an inmate named Jose Chico Romero vanished without a trace from a work crew in South Carolina's Anderson County. But after more than 4 decades of hiding in the shadows, the monster who escaped was finally captured. Now 63 years old, Romero was apprehended in December 2019 in Dover, Delaware, after a serious encounter with police. He tried to deceive them with a fake identity, but the truth was waiting to be uncovered. He presented himself as Arnaldo Figueroa, but his fingerprints stated otherwise, revealing the terrifying truth. Romero was back. This man, once serving an 18-year sentence for armed robbery in Aiken County, had broken free from his chains on December 13, 1979. At the time of his escape, Romero was working in the open, assigned to a crew in Anderson County, while housed at the former Anderson County Stockade, a place meant for short-term inmates. It was a fragile illusion of freedom, one that Romero destroyed with brutal intent. Romero's capture came on New Year's Day, when his acts finally caught up with him. Now locked away in Sussex Correctional Institution in Georgetown, Delaware, he faces a litany of charges: public intoxication, loitering, trespassing, and several counts of forgery. He is also marked as an out-of-state fugitive. Now, Romero is bound for South Carolina, where he must face the horrors of his past. Dantel Keys. A serious case of betrayal and abuse of power emerged from the confines of the Pendleton Correctional Facility in Indiana. Former corrections officer Alicia R. Smith stands accused of felony misconduct and sexual impropriety after engaging in a forbidden relationship with inmate Dantel Keys, a man serving a 20-year sentence for reckless homicide, criminal confinement, and kidnapping stemming from a 1998 conviction. Court documents revealed a relationship that began under the veil of secrecy while Smith served as Keys' caseworker. What unfolded was a story of manipulation, exploitation, and devastating security breaches. The darkest revelation surfaced when it was discovered that Smith had given birth to a child on June 15, 2016, a baby girl fathered by Keys. This fact exposed the truth that Smith was pregnant while still employed at the facility, her betrayal somehow escaping the watchful eyes of prison authorities. Their illicit bond continued even after Smith left her position at the prison in October 2016 and took up a new role at Marion County Community Corrections. The trail of evidence revealed that their contact persisted until at least April 2017. Investigators uncovered how Smith allegedly leveraged her influence to manipulate Keys' transfer approval to community corrections. On December 7, 2017, Madison County prosecutors filed charges against Smith, and she was taken into custody on December 18th. She was held at Madison County Jail on a $20,000 surety bond, where she awaited further legal proceedings. Ronald Wilson. In 2013, a dark story was revealed in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where former prison guard Nancy Gonzalez became the subject of national outrage. A secret sexual relationship with Ronald Wilson, a convicted cop killer awaiting the death penalty, had left her pregnant with his child. Wilson, a remorseless killer, had executed NYPD detectives Rodney Andrews and James Nemerin in cold blood during a 2003 gun operation. As he awaited sentencing for his heinous crimes, Gonzalez willingly entangled herself in a forbidden affair, risking everything for a man marked for death. According to court documents, Gonzalez admitted her actions were deliberate. In recorded conversations, she confessed that she wanted to carry Wilson's child, believing that giving him some kind of hope would somehow justify her devastating choices. Weekend after weekend, she entered his cell, consumed by her vulnerability and a desperate need for love. Eventually, Gonzalez lost custody of her infant son after violating bail conditions by drinking alcohol during meetings with Wilson's family. She was charged for her misconduct and sentenced to incarceration. Meanwhile, Wilson used the pregnancy to his advantage during his sentencing trial. But surprisingly, Gonzalez refused to testify on his behalf. In the long run, Wilson was sentenced to death once again. His plans to exploit the pregnancy failed. Kimberly Hawday. In March 2013, Kimberly walked through the gates of women's prison in Florida, carrying a dark past and an even darker future. Pregnant and haunted by memories of trauma, she returned to the facility for the third time, this time on theft charges. Determined to shield herself and her unborn child from the horrors of confinement, Kimberly's resolve was unexpected. Soon, she fell prey to the predatory eyes of the corrections officers who saw her vulnerability and exploited her fear and her addiction to cigarettes. One officer's manipulative gifts of tobacco soon turned into coercive sexual advances. Kimberly knew the consequences of speaking out in a system that thrived on corruption. Complaints placed in the grievance box often ended up in the hands of the same officers accused. Now helpless and terrified, she was forced into sexual relationships with not one, but 3 different officers. These acts weren't isolated, as they were part of a systematic rot within the prison. Her nightmare continued even after her release in February 2014, after she discovered she was pregnant again, believing one of the officers to be the father. Tavon White. The Baltimore City Detention Center once devolved into a place of corruption. In the middle of this situation was Tavon Bulldog White, a 36-year-old inmate and self-proclaimed overlord of the Black Gorilla family. Within the prison's rotting walls, White ruled not as a prisoner, but as a kingpin, where he boasted openly about his illegal empire. White's criminal empire raked in $16 million during what he mockingly referred to as a slow month. His contraband operation thrived under the complacent or complicit watch of prison guards, turning the detention center into a hub of drugs, bribery, and terror. But White's power wasn't limited to smuggling. It stretched into the intimate lives of the very people tasked with guarding him. 4 female guards, Jennifer Owens, Katara Stevenson, Jania Brooks, and Tiffany Linder, became a part of White's manipulative world. He seduced and controlled them, resulting in 5 pregnancies. 2 of the women, Owens and Stevenson, were so enthralled that they tattooed his name onto their bodies. The federal investigation ripped the lid off a sprawling criminal enterprise involving 44 defendants: guards, prisoners, and outside conspirators. Racketeering, drug trafficking, bribery, extortion, and money laundering flourished within the detention center, orchestrated by White and his BGF associates. The prison was no longer a place of order. It was a fortress of terror under White's reign. His testimony against his own gang members exposed the inner workings of the BGF's smuggling operation, securing a plea deal that allowed him to escape significant jail time. The Secretary of Public Safety, Gary D. Maynard, took responsibility for initiating sweeping reviews and even ordering polygraph tests for senior jail officials. Nevertheless, the damage had already been done. Emily Davis. On June 5, 2019, in Nashville's Riverbend Maximum Security Institution, Emily Davis, a 22-year-old correctional officer, was arrested and thrown into Metro Jail after shocking revelations of her secret actions. The investigation, led by the Tennessee Department of Correction, uncovered disturbing acts of deceit and corruption as Davis's illegal relationship with an inmate was revealed. Through video footage and witness testimonies, investigators pieced together the truth. Davis had engaged in multiple forbidden sexual encounters with the inmate while on duty. But her actions didn't stop there. She desperately tried to cover her tracks, hiding behind a false identity. Handwritten letters intercepted by authorities revealed her dark secret. Signed under the alias Dawn Adams, a combination of her middle name and maiden names, these letters revealed the depths of her connection with the inmate. In these letters, she even confessed to fears of pregnancy after a forbidden encounter, revealing her alarming level of intimacy with the inmate. The evidence grew even more damning when the inmate, under questioning, admitted to their relationship. He confirmed the details of their encounters, recounting how Davis had crossed the line, betraying her duty and the trust of the prison system. Once the truth came to light, Davis was arrested and her career destroyed, after which she resigned in disgrace. Tina Gonzalez. A former correctional officer at the Fresno County Jail was trapped in a nightmare of her own making. She secretly engaged in dark, forbidden acts with an inmate, putting not only her own life, but the lives of her fellow officers in mortal danger. Meanwhile, her actions were beyond imagination. She smuggled contraband, including cell phones and drugs, into the prison and shared sensitive, life-threatening prison intelligence. In 2021, the truth came to light as Gonzalez stood before the court, finally forced to face the consequences of her shocking betrayal. Assistant Sheriff Steve McComas, an officer with decades of experience, called the crime a reflection of a disturbed mind. Not only had she crossed every line imaginable by engaging in sexual acts in front of a crowd of inmates, but she also handed over deadly contraband, including razor blades easily turned into lethal weapons. But that wasn't all. Gonzalez had betrayed her fellow officers in the most dangerous way possible by feeding the inmate vital, confidential information. She revealed upcoming searches, warned him of incoming officers, and even exposed the identities of those entering the inmate's cell. Every secret she spilled was another step toward disaster, leaving her colleagues vulnerable to violence and chaos. Despite the prosecution's call for a lengthy prison sentence, Judge Michael Eidert, seemingly swayed by her contrition, handed down a light sentence, just 210 days in jail. Gemma Certhe. A 26-year-old former corrections deputy from St. Clair County Jail found herself in a very controversial situation. In 2015, dark and horrifying allegations emerged, revealing her shocking betrayal of trust. Certhe was accused of engaging in an inappropriate relationship with a female inmate. The charges were second-degree criminal sexual conduct, a felony that could have locked her away for up to 15 years. The St. Clair County Sheriff, Tim Donnellan, quickly reacted to the rumors of wrongdoing, immediately terminating Certhe's employment and launching an internal investigation. The truth came to light during a hearing in Judge Daniel Kelly's courtroom, where Certhe stood before the judge and confessed. She pled guilty to sexual assault, a felony carrying a maximum sentence of 10 years. But the consequences were far worse than just prison. The deal condemned Cowperthwaite to a life of shame and punishment as a registered sex offender. The inmate, whose identity was never revealed, was forbidden from having contact with jail staff outside the facility. And yet, she crossed that line, driven by forces beyond her control. Eventually, Cowperthwaite was released on a $10,000 bond, with her career and reputation destroyed. Linda Duza Abu. In 2024, a scandal that shook the very core of HMP Wandsworth in southwest London went viral. 30-year-old prison officer Linda Duza Abu and 36-year-old inmate Linton Weyrich were caught in controversy after a video surfaced, filmed on a smuggled phone. The explicit footage showed Weyrich, who was already imprisoned for burglary and theft, engaged in sexual activity with Abu. Abu, a married woman from southwest London, was quickly charged with misconduct in public office, a grave offense for any prison officer. Meanwhile, Weyrich, who had already been serving time, found himself facing even more legal chaos. His social media presence, particularly on TikTok and Instagram, revealed an unsettling side to his life behind bars. On TikTok, he proudly showcased his workout routines, including disturbing clips of himself exercising in prison, unaware that his social media would soon be linked to the scandal. As the investigation unfolded, Weyrich was placed in segregation for his own safety, but the damage had been done. The scandal didn't just stay within the prison walls, it affected the lives of those connected to him. Weyrich's partner, who was 7 months pregnant at the time, was thrown into a world of stress, fearing the possibility of premature labor due to the shock and horror of the public revelations. But it wasn't just Weyrich who was caught in the storm. The prosecution revealed that Abu had planned the escape, but her plans were intercepted by the authorities, and she was taken into custody before she could leave the country. She was granted conditional bail, but her freedom was shackled with strict conditions. She had to surrender her passport, remain under electronic monitoring at night, and was banned from international travel. South African Warden. In March 2021, a disturbing video surfaced, revealing an intimate encounter between a female prison guard and a male inmate at Encom Correctional Service Center. The footage, lasting several minutes, left nothing to the imagination. The prison guard, dressed in her official uniform, was seen passionately kissing and engaging in forbidden acts with the inmate. The woman's identity was quickly uncovered, though her name was withheld to shield her from further humiliation. The Department of Correctional Services was horrified, and their spokesman expressed deep shock and embarrassment over the incident. This blatant violation of conduct codes was met with unforgiving action. The guard was subjected to a relentless disciplinary process, with her future hanging by a thread. Meanwhile, the male inmate involved in this unholy act was condemned to even harsher consequences. After the scandal, he was immediately reclassified to the highest security level. His privileges were stripped away. He was also relocated to another facility, removing any connection with the corrupt affair that had transpired.